Okay, friends, we are live. It is CFLW, the show for this Friday, November the 7th. I hope you are doing well. A lot to get into in this video, including a true blast of Arctic air that will be dipping even into Central Florida. We're going to be talking about some outrageously cool conditions coming up for early next week. We'll also have to look to our south and talk about what might be happening tropically in the Western Caribbean next week as well. As always, CFLW, the show, is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys, offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process. So friends, you get property damage of any kind, make sure you check them out. Their logo, their website is at the bottom of the screen. It is leanonmelaw.com for more information. How are you guys doing on this Friday? Good to see you. Hi, Nancy. Good afternoon to you. 86 degrees in Wedgefield with a 57% humidity. Yeah, we're going to get into that cold front. We're going to get into the impacts as we move into early next week. I promise you I've got all that for you guys here. Let me just take 1 second real quickly here and drop my name off of there. There we go. All right. So great to see you guys. We're going to take this chronologically, if you will. We're going to talk about the weekend forecast first. We'll look at if there's any opportunity for rain underneath some of this cloud coverage. And then we're going to deep dive into this big time cold front for this time of the year, especially to move through what it's going to do to our temperatures for morning lows, what it's going to do to feels like temperatures, how long that colder air is going to stick around, and then we'll look into some tropical potential out in the Western Caribbean as well. As always, you guys have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. First thing I want to say is thank you, whether you're viewing this during our live coverage here on Friday afternoon or at any point in time in the recorded version. Of course, this becomes a recorded video under the CFLW Live tab. You can watch it at your leisure, but I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of your Friday afternoon to join me live. That's really why I do this. So thank you for those who are not only watching live, but are also jumping in the chat and interacting as well. This is why I do this. Good afternoon, Blue Goose. How are you doing? 76 degrees in St. Augustine, 64% humidity. Great to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. Let's get into it now. First of all, again, we had a little bit of cloud coverage out there at the hour, but winds are still a little bit out of the south. Temperatures are warming up quite lovely on this Friday afternoon. So we're sitting here in the lower 80s in most areas. A couple of spots are in the 70s. The reason why we've had a little bit of extra cloud coverage the last couple of days is there is a very weak disturbance sitting in the north central Gulf at this point in time. And it's just kind of kicking energy from west to east and south of a very weak stalled out boundary to our north. Now, this boundary isn't really doing much. There is a little bit of cooler air to the north, so you do have a temperature gradient from north to south, but that's not the main show. This is not the main one that's going to be coming in early next week here. That's going to really be changing up the forecast. The forecast this weekend is absolutely gorgeous. It's actually on the warmer side. It's going to be on the drier side. And it's not until later Monday that we're really going to start to feel the impacts of this front. So let me be clear. You have any weekend plans? And we're looking darn lovely out there for you guys. So take advantage of it. You want to get outside, enjoy the attractions, or get some gardening done, and enjoy the milder weather. You've got it. Of course, we have our live cameras here at CFLW, so what do you say we take a look at those? Live look outside to Winter Garden on this Friday afternoon. We're looking off towards the west. Again, a little bit of extra cloud coverage for today, and I'm not going to tell you you're going to get full sunshine, but I think from time to time today you'll get a little bit more sun compared to yesterday. There's just not a lot of lift in the atmosphere. There is some moisture streaming overhead, right? There's some moisture streaming overhead, but there's nothing to really take that moisture and to lift it and condense it up to really bring us any true shower chances. Now, you live a little bit farther south than Orlando, maybe Tampa, but southern areas of like Polk and Osseo localities and maybe towards Indian River County, could there be a light shower or a sprinkle that develops later today underneath this? You know, it's a possibility, but even then it's going to be light and it's not going to be widespread. Here's a live look to, boy, I keep hitting wrong buttons, a live look outside to Winter Park. This is our Lean Law Cam. We're looking just to the south of east here from the Winter Park area. And again, a little bit more blue sky out there today compared to yesterday. It's just several broken decks of clouds at this point in time. And of course, you can always find your live conditions near your area or even where you live by looking at the bottom of your screen there in that that lower third, we have current conditions across a lot of Central Florida areas. Scrolling at the bottom of your screen, updating live for you guys there. Live look outside to Conway. This is going to be, of course, in the southeast side of the downtown Orlando area. We're looking east. First of all, there is not a breath of wind in most spots. Look how still the air is. It's like a Bob Ross painting out there right now, right? We literally have the glass on the lake, which is very unusual. You know, a lot of these larger lakes here in Central Florida, there's always at least a little bit of wind out there, but it's tranquil, it's beautiful, and again, temperatures are quite lovely at this point in time as well. Same situation for Lake Buena Vista and the attractions. Again, you've got several nice days ahead, at least until Sunday, to get out there in the shorts and the short sleeves if you want to here, with the kind of temperatures that we're seeing today for Saturday and Sunday. But some major changes are coming for our Monday. But again, beautiful weather at this point in time. Hey, Jesse, how are you? We got partly sunny skies. We got 83 degrees right now in Spring Hill. Appreciate you jumping in. Hope everyone, again, is doing fantastic for today. So let's go back over to the weather computer here. And again, you have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. This is what it looks like on the visible satellite imagery. These are your live temperatures at the hour. We'll take a look at if we have any winds whatsoever. Again, if there's an opportunity for a little bit of a breeze, I would expect it to be in our southwest areas, but over the last several hours, we haven't had a gust of wind whatsoever outside. Dew points right now are in the 60s to right around 70, so the air is relatively humid, but it's not crazy humid. And north of this boundary, you have dew points in the 50s and 60s, but that's not the main one. This is the main one, where we're going to have two different pushes of Arctic air. Now, the first one may not fully clear the area, right? You know, this boundary that's coming through this cold front through the plains right now into the Great Lakes and the upper Midwest, yes, it's got some colder air with it, and it's going to drop temperatures through a lot of the southeast over the weekend. We will not really feel much of the impacts there, but it is this cold front with some true Canadian and Arctic air that'll be coming down, and it's kind of as if this first front opens the door, like cracks open the door, and then that second cold front just plunges right through it, right? Just blows all of this colder air down to where we really have to prepare for some very chilly conditions starting Monday afternoon, but especially into Tuesday morning, which should be the coldest, Wednesday and Thursday as well. So big changes here. We're going to see our temperatures right now that are in the 80s drop down to the 30s by Tuesday morning. Yes, there will be a lot of 30s for actual air temperatures on Tuesday morning, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but not too much. So like I said, we're going to take this chronologically. So the first thing I want to talk about here is actually going to be the weekend forecast. So let me bring this up here. Let's see, how do I want to do this? This is fine. Actually, I'm going to do this. It's going to be a wide view, but that's okay. And then I'm going to come back here. The first thing I want to talk about real quickly is if there's any rain for today or over the weekend. So we're going to go to our HERB model. It's our high resolution rapid refresh. It updates hourly. It only goes out 48 hours, but when we're talking about the weekend, that's just fine. So let's bring that up and let me loop it up for you guys real quick. My comment posted twice. Interesting. Did it again on the HDTV, not the iPhone. Interesting. I mean, listen, Blue Goose, I got to be honest with you. The more you comment, that's considered interaction with the channel. So YouTube likes that, and they will, again, what's the biggest thing? We need to get more eyes on the channel. What's the way to do that? Have this channel show up on the homepage of people who go to YouTube that don't even know we exist. You guys watching this live stream, you guys interacting by hitting the like button, by subscribing, and by commenting all tells the YouTube algorithm, hey, people watch this and they enjoy it. We are going to recommend it to others who don't even know it exists. And so they show up on their homepage. So I got to be honest, Blue Goose, the more you comment, the better it is for me anyway. So I appreciate you. Yeah, there's a little bit of a fall color out there. It's Florida. There's a lot of evergreen, but we'll take the little hints of oranges and yellows and even the browns that we get. Really interesting thing. I grew up on the West Coast. I grew up in Crystal River, but we had a extremely large maple tree right on the seawall line. I'm talking this tree was huge, I don't know, 60, 70 feet high. It couldn't even be higher than that. It was huge. We used to climb on it, but it actually would drop leaves. So we were one of those very rare Florida homes that we had to rake our leaves every fall when the maples came down. And they were big old fat leaves too. But it was really interesting because, growing up as a kid, you didn't realize that that wasn't the norm, that to have this huge tree out there. And I believe, unfortunately, it's gone now. But growing up and, my whole time at that home in Crystal River, we had that really large maple tree and it was gorgeous. It dropped big old fat leaves. Very interesting. Now, complain just noticing, hey, I appreciate it as well, my friend. All right. Hey, appreciate it, Kyle. Thanks for the comment, buddy. And hope you're doing well on this Friday. Thank you for joining us. Again, seriously, it means a lot for you guys taking time out of your Friday to join me live, to join me with any of the coverage that I ever do. So there's little kicks of energy that are still likely to come out of this weak disturbance in the north central Gulf. And again, it's combining with our weak disturbance just to the north as well. So I can't rule out a couple of showers here or there. Now the HRRR model is slightly more aggressive with popping in a couple of showers tomorrow. So we'll have a little bit of cloud coverage. I could see, again, there will be some times tomorrow where we're just gonna have a broken deck of clouds. There'll be more clouds than sun, but there will be other times on our Saturday we'll have more sun and clouds. So it's kind of a mix of the situation here. Overall, it's a fine day. The HRRR model is a little bit more aggressive with this westerly mid-level wind to pop in a couple of showers tomorrow afternoon. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. Even if you get them, they're likely to be light and in and out of your area very, very quickly. And I gotta tell you something. If you're a pool owner, if you like the outdoors and it's something like that, this is the last weekend, all right? Unless you're gonna heat your pool in some way, because we'll have daytime highs tomorrow in the mid 80s, and then we'll have the low to mid 80s on Sunday with probably a little bit more cloud coverage out there. But once this cold front comes in, man, it's like the end of pool season. And it's very dependent, right? How robust your solar panels are or what other forms you have to heat the pool. I know there are some folks that will still be able to enjoy the pool, others who have already called it a season. But after this cold front, it would take a lot to try and get that pool warm enough again if you want to enjoy it anytime soon. So this is the last weekend as far as that goes. Now, again, it's still early to pushing into mid-November. We're going to be moderating our temperatures pretty quickly here as far as air temperatures go, but there's a big difference between, what's comfortable in the air and what it is like trying to swim out there as well. Hey, Farrah, how you doing? Happy Friday to you as well. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for tuning in. Again, so we have a couple of brief showers tomorrow as a possibility, and then we have a couple of showers again on Sunday, but most areas I have basically dry. And if you hear my tone, if you catch a shower tomorrow, it's going to be relatively in and out fast. Although, again, there could be some extra cloud coverage from time to time. So let's take a look at these temperatures, and then we're going to deep dive into this front coming in, and then we still have to talk about the tropics as well. So just got a couple of 3-day forecasts for you guys. Now, let me be clear, okay? The coldest air is coming in starting late Monday and Tuesday. So guess what, right? When I see you guys Monday for CFLW, the show, we're going to start to really getting into it. So that will be the show where we're really going to be focusing on this colder air coming in. But the weekend, absolutely fantastic. Amazing weather in the attractions tomorrow. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies for the majority of the day. Morning lows aren't bad, mid-60s, 86 the daytime high. We'll take that. Again, a little bit more cloud coverage possible on Sunday as well. Can't rule out a couple of showers. Now, again, the HRRR model is a little bit more aggressive tomorrow. I think there could be even a few more showers on Sunday, but your chance is like 20% at best. And again, many dry hours and locations. But right now, and we'll look into this in just a second, based on the timing that I'm seeing with our front, we're going to start to see the cooler air coming in throughout the day Monday. So we'll start off with a morning low in the lower 60s, but there will be some areas, especially in our northern zones, like Ocala and Gainesville, and maybe even St. Augustine and places, north of the Orlando area, where we may not even see the temperature climb a degree on Monday. Maybe 1 or 2, but that colder air gets in the morning hours, and that north wind, that'll be 15 to 25 miles an hour with some higher gusts, will begin to really pull in that colder air. So I've just got Orlando in at 67 for the daytime high, with basically steady temperatures through the mid-afternoon hours and then really beginning to plummet late afternoon and as we head into the evening hours of Monday. What does it look like in Tampa? Again, fairly nice forecast. Fair amount of sunshine. There'll be some clouds from time to time over the weekend. Temperatures should be quite lovely. Low, couple of mid-80s outside. Maybe you're going to the Bucs game. They're playing the Patriots Sunday at 1 o'clock. Maybe you just want to be outdoors in the Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater area, Bradenton, Sarasota. Looking really good out there. We'll stay with partly cloudy skies Monday. Same situation. Temperatures fall. Now again, a little bit farther south, closer to the water. We'll climb to the upper 60s, but that's it. So what does that mean? That means on Monday, again, you're going to want the windbreaker or the light jacket. Throw it in the back seat. You may not need it in the morning hours. Maybe you will. But with that breeze outside, it's going to be a little bit chilly. Now, in the 60s, we don't have an actual wind chill. But I promise you, it's going to feel a little bit cooler than that actual daytime high. What's going on here? It's definitely a party now. There we go. Hey, I don't mind a Friday party. Yeah. Look, is it going to be outrageously cold? No. Is it much colder than what we typically see for the second week of November? Yes. Will it be a shock to the system? Yeah, probably that's the case as well. So I have made a couple of maps for you guys, but let me show you how this plays out on the GFS model. So I'm going to go back over to the big perspective here. Again, let's load up, bring up the GFS. We'll bring up the temperatures. Let's see, I'm going to take it out until, of course, Tuesday is also Veterans Day as well. So we'll have to talk about that on Monday's show. I'll go out until Tuesday morning, which is going to be the 12th. All right, so these are your temperatures on the GFS model. Now again, what is happening is you truly have Arctic air sliding down off of this front and coming in. There's certain limitations to how cold the air can be this time of the year. One of the biggest limitations is that there's no snow cover yet, right? So when this Arctic air plunges down and you have snow cover, it actually keeps the temperatures at the low levels even colder because, again, it's just sliding against frozen ground rather than thawed out ground. So there is a limitation to how cold it will be, but this is still going to be a shock to the system to a lot of areas here. And if you look up, and by the way, this is not like feels like temperatures. These are the actual numbers. So if I take it back to, one more frame here, to Tuesday morning, right? And we look at this here, and of course I can query these, right? Now, when I do that, what's very interesting is my system actually switches time frames. I never really understood that, but that's okay. These are your morning lows on Tuesday morning, right? And you're going to have a lot of areas with very cold conditions. Now, it's going to be very local dependent as to whether there's a freeze or not, because a lot of this colder air coming in Monday into Tuesday is also going to come with a lot of wind. Right? You need the air to be very settled at the low levels to produce the frost, to produce the hard freeze. But temperatures below freezing, Atlanta, mid-20s, maybe even the lower 20s in Atlanta on Tuesday morning, right? I-75, I-10 corridor exchange, Lake City, Tallahassee, flirting with freezing, likely to fall below freezing. Again, we'll see if they issue cold weather advisories. It hasn't come yet. We're too far out in time, but you get the idea. And I'm teasing where we're going to be coming up here, but you get the idea of this blast of colder air. Now, this is the GFS model, and this is going to be for Tuesday morning. And most areas, I think it's close. We're going to look at the European model coming up as well. But I'm just going to paint on a couple of areas for Tuesday morning. Now again, look, we're still 4 days out, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So this is all subject to change, but I'm expecting a lot of mid and upper 30s in our northwest areas, which could even slip down into portions of Hillsborough in Hernando and Pasco counties. I think the GFS is a little bit too warm here, but you get the idea that in the Orlando area, I think it's going to be upper 30s to right around 40. Marion County, you know, just above freezing. I'm not expecting us to hit freezing conditions. Gainesville is likely to get close. Blue Goose, St. Augustine, upper 30s as well. Here's the thing. At least for right now with Tuesday morning, the wind is likely to be too strong to allow frost or freeze to develop, all right? I'll continue to monitor the situation. We're gonna have a lot more on this, obviously, on Monday's show, because we'll be right in the thick of it, ready to go. But this is a preview of what you should expect for Tuesday morning. Now, that's all off of the GFS model. Let me show you the European model. These are your morning lows Tuesday. You know, a little bit harder to see, still image Tuesday morning. This is minimums, by the way, right? So the minimum we have up here in Ocala is 36, Crystal River 38, Inverness 37, Spring Hill area 38, Zephyr Hills, Dade City 38-ish. Again, Tampa 41, but outlying northern areas of Tampa likely in the upper 30s. The Orlando area in at 40, Palm Coast 38, Ormond Beach 39-ish to 40-ish, same thing for Daytona Beach. Even along the Brevard County coast, you've got some 40s just inland and mid 40s along the coastline. So cold. And again, actual air temperatures for Tuesday morning. This is the below normal temperatures for Tuesday morning. So where are we compared to average on Tuesday morning? We're 20, 25 plus degrees below average in most locations. So morning lows, Orlando, typically 61, 62 degrees, something like that. Well, we're now 40, even 39 degrees. So we're about 21, 22 degrees below average. Portions of Brevard County or Titusville could be up to around 27 degrees below average. The I-95 corridor averages about 25 degrees below average for your Tuesday morning. Portions of St. Petersburg, Tampa, Clearwater areas, a lot of Pinellas and Hillsborough counties will have temperatures, again, running about 25 degrees below average. So this is true punch of colder air coming in for us here on Tuesday. What is it actually going to feel like outside? Again, we should still have a bit of a north wind. It is going to be the biggest component to whether we get any actual freeze here or some frost to develop. At this point in time, again, the wind should stay up enough where that's not likely except for the extremely sheltered locations. But I'm telling you right now, kids, you, whoever, I don't care, you got to be bundled up Tuesday morning. It's going to feel at or below freezing in a lot of locations. The feels like temperatures will very much in most areas be low to mid 30s. 30 in Ocala, 31 in Citrus County, even 33 in downtown Orlando, 34 in Sanford, 32 in DeLand and Deltona and De Leon Springs. Again, right around freezing or just below. Flagler, Volusia County coastline, even the Cape is in at 41. And again, Tampa, Brandon, Seffner, Temple Terrace, you know, South Tampa, 33, 34, 35 degrees for feels like temperature. How's that? Gonna be a little bit on the old chilly side. And by the way, right, you know, what does it take to get the air to be this cold? These are your dew points Tuesday morning. Remember I showed you the map today where the dew points are 65 to 70 degrees. The dew points are also going to plunge by what? Maybe 50 degrees in some areas? You're talking about bone dry air. Dew points in the teens, we get that like once, maybe twice a year, especially in January. It's the January and early February cold fronts that really have this kind of drier air to make it this far south. I mean, you're talking about dew points in Tampa in the mid and the upper teens on Tuesday morning. 20 the dew point in Orlando, upper teens in Pasco and Hernando and Citrus counties and Marion counties. Outrageously cold air, outrageously dry air, but you got to have the combination. The air's got to get that dry if you're going to get that cold. Now, there's no threat for any precip, right? There could be a couple of sprinkles ahead of this on Monday. You know, obviously, you know, winter weather wise, this is a dry front that is coming in through most of the southeast as well. So not expecting any of that, you know, garbly goop here this time of the year, but the colder air is going to be something. And again, Monday's show, we're going to be focusing on this even more. You know, certainly noteworthy to talk about it here. If I go back out real quickly here, and just go back out to the big perspective. What I wanted to do here is actually show you guys precip type as well. So now here's the GFS, but now you're going to actually see the winter weather. So just to kind of give you guys an idea as this loops up, that the initial boundary that comes in, right, with the one we talked about in the plains right now, it's going to have some rain. But the next front that is so cold and is going to bring all of this really, really cold air is somewhat moisture starved. Now the upper low is actually going to track over the Great Lakes and through the Northeast. This is what we would expect for this time of the year. It's just that the colder air behind it begins to plunge. So, you know, I can't rule out some snow for portions of the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, but, you know, any farther south than that, this is just drier air that's going to be pushing in. Yeah, Nancy, not the best. Here's what I'll say. Again, do you have to cover the plants Tuesday? Look, I'm never going to tell you guys not to do what you think is right, but based on everything that I'm seeing, with actual air temperatures in most areas at least 5 degrees above freezing, and with there being a wind, you're likely not having to cover the vegetation on Tuesday morning. Now, that's up to you, right? If you just want to be on the safe side, the precautious side, obviously remember the pets. Make sure that they're indoors. They're not going to enjoy that cold blast of air. And, you know, look, it's going to be chilly again Wednesday and Thursday mornings. Again, we'll look at those temperatures coming up on the Monday show. I do expect the coldest air to be Tuesday, but it's still going to be quite chilly even Wednesday and Thursday before we begin to moderate. Yes, it is Chapstick Tuesday. If it's Rusty, it's chapstick every day of the week. I've got one in my pocket right now. I actually feel naked if I don't have a chapstick in my pocket. It is something I'm addicted to. Unfortunately, our bottle brush took a big hit a few years ago. I try and protect it a little bit better. Yeah, again, whatever you guys feel, you guys know your vegetation, you know how susceptible it is to colder air. I'm not expecting freezing conditions. I'm not expecting the air to be settled enough to allow, you know, that freeze and that frost to develop on plants, but, you know, do whatever you guys feel is necessary. Okay. So again, I'm just letting this loop up, and you can clearly see as we get into Tuesday morning, so Monday and Tuesday, there's no winter weather in the southeast. The air is just too dry right now. Again, some flakes for the Ohio Valley, upper elevations of the Appalachians over West Virginia, and some for the Northeast, but this is not a big snowmaker here, right? It's just a relatively moisture-starved system overall. I mentioned the tropics, so it's amazing that we're talking about the plunge of colder Arctic air here, but we also still have to talk about the tropics real quick. So let me bring this up. Now, again, it's still hurricane season. We understand that, right? The deeper we go into November, obviously, we start to see the potential for development begin to shut off. Couple of things, right? Obviously, first of all, sea surface temperatures begin to fall. We start to get more unfavorable conditions, especially in the Gulf and the Western Atlantic Basin, for what we're seeing right now. When these cold fronts start to come in, they really start to lower the temperatures in the Gulf and the Western Atlantic Basin, sea surface temperature-wise, but all of that north wind also disrupts any system that's trying to develop, right? So with the system I mentioned on Monday, the GFS model in the European from time to time still wants to develop a very broad, what could be somewhat disorganized system. Now, there's still the potential as we get towards this time next week that we do get a low-level center to form, but it does look like right now it's hugging the Central American coastline. Now, you want to talk about a heck of a lot of rain in an area. You know, we could see that in the Western Caribbean next week. And some of this moisture could be thrown north and east. But what do you see missing? You see no precip in the Gulf or close to us off of our east coast because that front comes in and blasts in that northerly wind, and that north wind makes it into the Caribbean. This is how strong of a front that it is. So the bottom line is it locks this into the Caribbean. Whatever this is going to end up being at this point in time looks to not have an escape route to the north. The only way that it would is if for some reason it's such a slow developing system that it just kind of meanders there and would allow it to maybe try and move north. And again, that would be like no earlier than 10 days from now, and potentially, 14 days from now. So then you start getting into the mid and even into the 20s date-wise in November, and now you get really towards the end of hurricane season. So regardless if this does try to develop or if it holds together, as it moves north, it would be just kind of a wet, sloppy, disorganized system, I think, if anything. So I'm taking you out a full 2 weeks. Now, if you have any interest whatsoever, and again, Jamaica got hit so hard by Melissa, I hate to see that there could be a lot of rain for this area again. I hope it stays farther west, but the Cayman Islands and all of Central America and the Yucatan and Cuba, and again, even portions of the Bahamas, just depending how this develops. But this is a 2-week loop starting today. And if you look at the Western Caribbean in general, there's just a lot of green and yellow and orange and red on this map. So the amount of rain that can fall in this area could be exceptional. But for right now, we've got a block. We got a good block from our offensive line here, trying to trap this south of us and not allowing it to spread to the north. Now, that could be time dependent on the fronts, but generally speaking, I do expect this to stay to the south and not be a big problem for us whatsoever. But wanted to point it out because we mentioned it on Monday. And of course, as you guys know, I've got the Meteorologist Mundo channel, so I'm always keeping a close eye on the tropics, and I'll be monitoring that for you guys too. So again, we have this little disturbance here, even a little bit of lightning. So there's a little bit of lift in the atmosphere, but as this has streamed over the peninsula, it just hasn't produced really any rain. So we'll get some clouds from time to time, and that's what I'm expecting. And again, temperatures, which will be quite lovely here, mainly into the low 80s over the next couple days, probably some mid 80s for tomorrow as well. Anyone have any specific questions about the forecast? How are we feeling about the cold weather? Do we like it? Are we prepared for it? We got a few more days, so we don't have to worry about it yet, but it's coming. There's no doubt about it. How you guys feeling about it? Nancy is not happy. Feels like the garden's going to take a punch. I hear you. Again, sprinkler from time to time, a little bit drier air, possibly. Not a lot of rain associated with this one as well. All right, does anybody have any specific questions about the forecast while we're here live? Again, appreciate you guys tuning in live. Appreciate you taking a quick second and dropping a comment in. Appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys hitting that like button for me. All of that is awesome. Ferris says you're good with the cold weather. I am too. I mentioned it many times. I don't mind it. Blue Goose is looking forward to it as well. Yeah. I'm a fan of the colder weather. Jesse says, I grew up in it, so we just have to deal with it. Thankfully, I work afternoon, Tuesday outside. Yeah, look, if you like the cooler weather and the drier air, that's not bad. Now, Monday may not be a fun day to be outdoors working because of the wind, right? We're going to have some 15 to 25 mile an hour winds and some higher gusts. The air should settle down a bit behind the front on Tuesday, so the wind's not as strong. And then I'm telling you, I think the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, with slow moderation, cold mornings, but just kind of getting milder in the afternoons, I think they're going to be fantastic. You'll wait till Monday to make the decision. You got it. And you guys know I got you covered as well. So, appreciate you guys tuning in. Please remember that CFLW is sponsored by the leading law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They do cover the entire state. So if you live from the Panhandle to the Keys in Central Florida, they'll walk you through the insurance claim process. Again, you get storm damage, you had a burst pipe, even if you've been in an auto accident. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. So check them out if you guys don't mind. It's leanonmelaw.com for more information. Friends, have a fantastic weekend, right? Enjoy this warmer weather if this is your bag, if you enjoy it. If you want the cooler air, it's coming. So when I see you guys Monday at 1 o'clock for CFLW, the show, this front will be moving through the area at that point in time. Big changes will be occurring then, and we'll deep dive into these colder temperatures and the outlook for especially Tuesday morning, but for the rest of the week as well. So friends, I appreciate you guys on the way out, hitting that like button for me and subscribing if you guys haven't as of yet. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday for CFLW, the show. Cold weather's coming. We'll talk about it then. Take care.